question in recent years has been his relationship to Sally Hemings.
Mhm. Sally Hemings is a unique woman, to say the least. Sally Hemings, if you go to Monticello, it used to be that if you mention Sally Hemings and Thomas Jefferson having an affair,
You might want to fill the folks in on who may not know who
well, of
Sally
course,
Hemings was.
but before I do, you have to understand that depending on which docent you're dealing with, you might get an earful on just how it never happened. Master Tom never slept with his slaves, as they would say. But Sally Hemings is a unique woman, as I said. Sally Hemings was actually the half-sister of Martha Jefferson, who was Thomas Jefferson's wife. Sally was described to have been looking exactly identical to Martha. In fact, you would think they were sisters, and obviously this is the case. Sally's mother was a slave, and her father was Martha's father. And even Sally's mother was actually what would be referred to as a mulatto, half black, half white. Sally would be a quadroon, a quarter black. And what happened was that Sally's grandmother was from Africa, and her grandfather was white. And so this is how the bloodline comes through. Now, when Martha and Thomas got married, Sally came along as one of Martha's slaves. When Martha Jefferson died, she had Thomas Jefferson promise, "You are never to remarry." Well, Jefferson, one of the problems he has is he's now walking around Monticello very depressed. The man's a bachelor for going on 25 years of his life. And then he looks out, and there's this slave girl who looks identical to his deceased wife. And
when you say girl, she really was a girl.
she was just about 13.
And Jefferson was?
Oh, Jefferson was about a good 40, give or take, a few years when he's noticing her. So he's certainly, dirty old man, best way to describe it. But as the late professor at George Mason University, Robert Hawks, pointed out, the man was single for 25 years. And it only makes sense that he'd be eyeing other women. But, it's not exactly unheard of for a girl the age of Sally, at about 13, 14, to be in a relationship with a man the age of Jefferson. It's not unheard of by any stretch. Now,
well, certainly in that time period.
In that time period, it's not unheard of. Now, today, that's just ghastly. But in 18th century society, that's not unheard of. Now, for Sally, what ends up happening is that we have a situation of where she is, according to most sources, impregnated by Jefferson on the trip that she made to France when she was escorting Jefferson's daughters over to Paris. Now, when she left, she was definitely not pregnant. When she returned, she was. And so most folks believe that there is a pretty good chance Jefferson sired at least one child with Sally Hemings. As for other children that had been sired, that is unconfirmed. Now, in the Hemings family, it has been confirmed today through DNA analysis that there is Jefferson blood in their line. However, there's no confirmation that it's Thomas Jefferson, namely because there were two nephews of Jefferson's who were staying at Monticello at the time, and both were reported to have been having dalliances with the slave women. And so there's no way to actually confirm that it was Thomas Jefferson or some of these other nephews that had this particular circumstance. But most visitors to Monticello noted how very strange it was to be served by a slave who looked remarkably almost exactly like the master and was light enough that you would swear the slave was actually white. And so it made for a unique circumstance.